Hello everybody, my name is Jackie and welcome to Prairie Sports Talk, the podcast where we talk about sports that directly impact the Canadian Prairie. Today is May 9th, 2024 and we've got a pair of hockey related topics to talk about, playoffs to be exact. So first we're going to talk about the update on the WHL playoffs because the WHL final is set and I did not expect the teams that are in it to be in it. And then we're going to talk about an update to my NHL bracket and why Boston needs to stop bullying me, because that is totally why the Bruins keep beating the Leafs, because they just like breaking my brackets. Yep. Anyway, let's get into it. So, let's start with the WHL final, because we know what teams are in it now. And much to my surprise, Prince George and Saskatoon, the two teams I thought would be in the finals based off of the last round matchups, they're both out. The Moose Jaw Warriors defeated the Saskatoon Blades in 7 games and the Portland Winterhawks beat the Prince George Cougars in 6. So it will be Moose Jaw and Portland, with Portland having home ice advantage. I will be honest, I did not expect this. I really didn't. I thought Moose Jaw would be out in the second round. I thought that Portland didn't stand a chance against Prince George. I thought Moose Jaw would likely get swept by Saskatoon in all honesty. But yet, here we are. Moose Jaw and Portland are in the finals. So who do I think will win? That is a tremendous question. I have been going back and forth on this for about a day now since getting the results of the Blades and Warriors series, and I think, as much as I hate to say it, Moose Jaw will win. That hurts to say. That really hurts. But I think Moose Jaw has put together a very good team, and they've had a absolutely astonishingly impressive run. And I think on Friday, when the series opens up, it will only be a matter of time until Moose Jaw lifts the Edge North Cup. As a Bronco fan, that hurts to say. But anyway, on to the main portion of this video. An update on the NHL playoffs and how my bracket is looking. My bracket could be better, but it's not as bad as a small part of me for a little bit was kind of scared it would be. The 3 series I got wrong was Vegas ended up losing to Dallas after I thought they would actually win. I thought Winnipeg would beat Colorado pretty handily, and it ended up being the other way around. Colorado beat Winnipeg in just 5. And Boston beat Toronto in 7. Again, same old story. Boston gets a hot start. Toronto comes back. It looks like this is finally their year. And Boston ends it in Game 7. What else is new? I've seen this story play out multiple times throughout my life already. But on to the updated version of my bracket. Let's start in the East because I started in the West when I broke down my original bracket. So, Florida and Boston, I think because Florida has more players that are better rounded than Boston does, I think Florida will likely win this. It'll be a long series. I think it's likely going to go to 7 despite how handily Boston beat them in Game 1. I just feel like because Boston has tough players and they have players that can score, they don't have many of players that are tough and can score. Marchand is the notable exception, but beyond that, there's not many. It's like him and Pasternak. And Pasternak seems to struggle to do both in the same game. He can either score a lot in a game, or he can hit a lot in a game, and very rarely is he able to do both. As for the Rangers and the Canes, well, as of recording, the Rangers are up 3-0 in the series. I can't see that changing. I think Rangers likely sweep this series and move on to the Eastern Final to take on Florida. How do I think that series will go? I think New York will likely beat Florida in 6, maybe 7 games. Maybe. That is assuming that Florida gets at least one game where they pull out a minor miracle and can keep New York's offense quiet. Meanwhile, in the West, I think Colorado will likely beat Dallas. Similar story here as to Boston and Florida. I just feel like Colorado is better rounded. They don't necessarily have as many tough guys as, say, Florida, but the players they have, such as McKinnon and McCall, those players are some of the best in the league. And if they get going like they did against Winnipeg, this series could be over in the blink of an eye. I think Colorado wins. And then the all-Canadian series, Vancouver and Edmonton. Who do I have? Well, it hasn't changed since my first bracket. Vancouver's Cinderella story will be cut short. I feel like, despite the fact that Vancouver went 4-0 in the regular season against Edmonton, this is their season. I really do think that this is the year that they will win the Stanley Cup. I think they will beat Vancouver, especially if Vancouver doesn't get Demko back. He won't be back for game 1. I'm not sure beyond that though. And I think if Demko's not back anytime soon, this should be over in 5 at most. And then you move on to the Colorado-Edmonton series. I think that would be likely a 7-game slugfest between two high-powered offenses. But I think Edmonton's high-powered offense will be able to just outwork Colorado's. Colorado's offense, they have what it takes to win a Stanley Cup. But I feel like Edmonton has more to fight for because, one, it's been over 3 decades since there's been a Canadian team to win the Stanley Cup, and it's been about as long since Edmonton has won it as well. I just feel like Edmonton has more to fight for, plus they got the best player in the world, Connor McDavid, on their roster as their captain. And I almost feel like McDavid is more hungry this postseason than we've seen him in the past. Yes, he's not necessarily scoring a lot of goals, but he's still outworking most players. I feel like he's driven by the fact that the second round pick in his draft, Jack Eichel, has a Stanley Cup ring before he does. I feel like McDavid is pushing it into another gear this season, and I feel like we have seen yet another gear in the playoffs. I can't see that changing. I think Edmonton takes this in 6 or 7, and they beat New York in 7. I think New York's biggest advantage will be they have the better goaltender. Shesterkin, in my opinion, is better than Skinner. I think Skinner has a lot of potential, like a crazy amount of potential. He just hasn't reached it yet. I feel like a few years down the line, he'll be one of the best goalies in the league. But Shesterkin already is one of the best goalies in the league. But I feel like that's not going to be enough to stop McDavid, Draisaitl, Hyman, and just all the Oilers in general. I really do feel like this is Edmonton's season. They have a very tough team. They have with players that love to body check, like Evander Kane and Corey Perry. Plus, Prairie also brings in that Stanley Cup experience that the Oilers have been lacking, because he's been there, done that. He's won a Stanley Cup before. He knows what it takes. So now having him on the team is a tremendous asset to them. He can really help players like McDavid and Draisaitl, who at this exact point in time may be better than Perry. I feel like he can mentor them and help them through the slog that is the NHL playoffs, and I feel like that will help be the difference maker. Yes, the Rangers are the President Trophy winners. I still feel like Edmonton just will want it more than New York. I really do. And there are just two things I want to acknowledge before I wrap up this episode. Number one, the PWHL has just finished their inaugural season, and it was a fun ride. I didn't get to follow it as closely as I wanted to, just because I've been so busy this year. But I'm hoping I will get to follow the playoffs a lot closer, and I will get to follow next season a lot closer as well. Massive congratulations to everyone involved in the league. It has been a fun season, even if, like I said, I didn't get to follow it as close as I would have liked. Can't wait to see how the playoffs go. I'm pulling for Montreal, but I think no matter how these playoffs go, I think it's going to be a very fun couple weeks. And secondly, I want to acknowledge a bit more of a serious subject. Chad Kelly of the Toronto Argonauts has been suspended for at least 9 games and has been ordered by the CFL to take counseling. All of this is stemming from a case where he mistreated a female staff member for the Toronto Argonauts. Yeah, it's a pretty heavy story. We've known about this story for a few months now, but the CFL just delivered their ruling, and I wanted to talk about it in this episode, but I also want to make sure when I talk about this, I do it right. So I thought it would be best if I gave myself at least a week to script it and make sure I have my facts right. But I felt like I needed to at least acknowledge it in this episode because of how much I talk about the CFL. But that is everything I have for you guys this episode. If you enjoyed it, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you're on YouTube. If you're on Spotify, be sure to follow the 13th Man Podcast Network. I hope you have a great day, a great week, a great whatever. Stay strong, stay safe. You got this, and this is Jackie for Prairie Sports Talk, signing off.